Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's program. I'm Jack Canfield, your host. We're talking with authors here on our wonderful show, Conversations with Authors, where I bring you wonderful people who've written really very important books that can impact your life, both personally, professionally, and also financially. So today I am really thrilled. I have an amazing guest who has a story that is way beyond the norm. It really takes us into the world of universal truths and gives us, I think, a lot of comfort. And so I'm going to introduce you to Cynthia Mitchell. We'll call her Cindy because that's what she likes to be called. And her background is she's a hairdresser. She's had a successful business in that world for over 40 years. And her focus was on making people feel good about how they look. But in 2006, she lost her only child and everything changed, as you can imagine. And her focus shifted to finding proof of eternal life. And in 2015, she shared her evidence by publishing her first book, When You Think About It. And now she's coming out with a new book titled The Day My World Stopped. And her mission is to ease the pain we feel when we lose people we love and even when we lose our pets. And I think beyond that, what excites me about the work she's doing is even if we haven't lost anyone yet, it eases our pain and fear about dying. So I'm really excited. Cindy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm glad you joined us. So share with us the story of what put you on this mission to discover whether there was eternal life, to figure out where your daughter went when she died. It's a fascinating story, and more importantly for me is what you've learned in the process. But how did you get started?
When I lost Bree, as you said, my world stopped. And so I remember sitting in the dark and asking myself, where is my Bree? Where's my Bree? I mean, I wasn't sure at that point if there was a God or what, but I knew I had to find her. And I woke that next morning with this overwhelming sense to drive to our cabin. We had a cabin up at Mount Baker, a little ski cabin, and I should drive up there. Well, I never wanted to go there without Brianna ever again. And yet that sense would not leave. So I got in my car, crying all the way up there, and I got out, opened the door, and of course, she wasn't there. Nothing I expected was there. So I thought, all right, we had books up there. Maybe there was a book that we had shared together that might bring me some sort of comfort. There had to be a reason I felt compelled to drive up there. So I started pulling those books off, and no, that wasn't it. No, that wasn't it. And I'm thinking, this is just all in my head. I just had to leave. It was so sad to be there without her. So I began putting those back on the bookshelf, and I saw a book that I'd never seen before. And it was written by a medium, and Sylvia Brown, actually, and I'd never seen that. So it had two markers in it, one under loss and one under children. And I knew that's why I was there. And that actually began my journey, because as I didn't really understand much about mediums, didn't really know where that book might have even come from. So I brought it home and did a little research, finding that a friend of my daughter's had given her that book. And Brianna, my daughter, had suffered a miscarriage earlier on. And I think that book brought her comfort when maybe I couldn't. And I think she hoped it would bring me comfort now, which it did. Well, reading that book, of course, took me into near-death experience. I wanted to hear what anyone who had any evidence of life after death might have to say. So that took me into near-death experiences and into past life experiences, and then, of course, from there into the world of energy. And that's where my world changed, when I discovered the world of energy, what we really, truly are made of. And that's kind of where the answer was.
Now, you say that you know that we cannot die, and I assume it's because we're energy, as you've just mentioned. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay, as I was reading, in grade school, we learned that we were made of atoms. And at that time, we thought the universe was made of energy and matter. So what, the atom was matter? I don't know. But anyway, but then I discovered atoms were actually made of energy, neutrons, protons, electrons. There is no matter out there. It's all energy, including us. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can change form. It can do things. So I knew that, and I knew Brianna's energy was still there. So I knew we can't die. It was like a curtain open. We can't die. We didn't answer all my questions yet, so of course I continued, but I knew we couldn't die at that point. So then, of course, I was led into consciousness and what that is and where I believe that comes from.
Well, speak about that for a minute. What is your belief about consciousness and where it comes from?
I believe that every living organism, from the smallest little amoeba to the tallest tree, has a form of consciousness in it, which I believe consciousness is an integral part of energy. I think it's everywhere. It's in everything. It's been here always. It's part of what we are. And they were all. So when Bree left, her consciousness went with her. She is as she was here, but in spirit. Just a different form.
Sure. You talk about in your book a common belief about God that you say isn't true. Talk about that if you would.
A common belief about God is that he is judgment. And I don't believe that. I believe in unconditional love, so I don't believe that God judges us, and he has nothing to judge. He loves you unconditionally. And I think that's a misconception for many people, judgment.
So believing that, then what's your belief about heaven or hell?
I think hell, I know there's another realm, that's true, but I don't believe hell is what we think it is. I think hell is something completely different. When I began to do some research, like where did hell come from and when did that first appear? And it appeared as the word Sheol. And Sheol is really a place for the dead, but both good and bad. All dead people went to Sheol. And then, the Bible was translated from Hebrew into Greek. For instance, when the Greek were translating the Bible, they actually changed the word Sheol to Hades. Well, Hades is the god of the underworld. It would play. So suddenly Sheol, which was a place for the dead, became this place for evil people. And I think it just kind of grew into what we think of as hell today, a place of torture and eternal suffering. I just don't believe that exists. I don't think it's true. I just think it's been elaborated on over the years.
Well, I've done a lot of research myself on near-death experiences and reincarnation and mediums, and actually talked to a medium with my wife who basically channeled her mother and her father and my father. And, what I came away from that with was that when you die, your consciousness goes on actually to another level of education, to another level of learning.
Yes.
If there's mistakes you made, you get to learn from them and perhaps come back again and get to do it over, or perhaps learn there that there's a better way to do it. It's a real different experience. We're seeing so many, literally thousands and thousands now of accounts of that. So it just seems like, because I believe in a loving God as well, and I think that all the evidence from the people that have either come back after a near-death experience or people that are communicating with us through mediums would indicate the same thing. Would that be your belief as well?
Yeah, yes. In fact, when I was researching mediums, I thought the right thing to do would be to go talk to a few mediums and see what it would be like. But the first one I went to, I asked her specifically, why did my daughter come? What was her purpose for being here? Because, of course, I felt she should still be here, always. But anyway, the woman said she came to teach you unconditional love. And I thought, well, that's kind of a canned answer, but really, what is unconditional love? So I started reading whatever I could find on love and what unconditional love was. And unconditional love is something I think is very hard as humans to be able to love that way. I mean, we love our children unconditionally, but really we kind of expect a little bit out of our children. We expect something from them. Unconditional love expects nothing from you. It loves you unconditionally. So I think in the process of judging, if anybody judges anybody, it's going to be us judging ourselves when we're over there and we're in the presence of this unconditional love. And we're seeing our life and thinking, oh, wow, I wish I would have not done that, or I wish I would have done this. I think the judgment is about learning, and it's a self-judgment. We will judge ourselves by the life that we lived and through unconditional loving eyes, and with the help of unconditional people that love us over there and help guide us through that process of watching our life and the mistakes we made, because we will only learn through mistakes. I mean, it takes mistakes to learn, sadly.
Yeah, well, you have to go off the side of the road to realize you're not on the road anymore. I get that. You know, someone helped me understand unconditional love by saying the sun just shines because that's the nature of the sun. And the essence of all of us and the essence of God, source energy, however you refer to it, is like the sun. We often refer to the white light and the light of God and so forth. And the sun doesn't decide it's not going to shine on New Orleans today because people were out drinking last night. It just shines because that's what the sun is designed to do. And so when we really get that there's nothing we can do to make the sun stop shining, that we begin to get a sense of that essence of what that's all about.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So, given all the research you've done, and I really love your new book. I just think it's profound. And there's so much in there about the history of consciousness, the history of our awareness of these things, the history of religion and how it's evolved, and perhaps how God has devolved into this misunderstood energy and so forth. I think it's a primer in consciousness. It's like you've gone out and read all the books that most people don't have time to and come back as a scout and said, hey, guys, this is what's really going on. And I really appreciate you for doing all that. Based on all of that, and given that we only have a short period of time on this show, what's one piece of advice after all the work you've done that you'd give to our viewers?
I think to experience every experience through an awareness that nothing ever ends. So the worst thing that can happen in your life, you don't take that with you. It really didn't end. Nothing ends. It stays here. So you learn what you can. You kind of have to step out of your situation and look back at that experience and see what you can learn from that experience, because it's not real. Yeah, it feels real, but it's not. It's not real. You don't take it with you. It stays here. It's just experience every experience with an awareness that you never end.
One of my favorite spiritual teachers says you can never get it wrong because you never get it done.
Yeah.
Meaning that if you're going to be living forever and coming back in different forms, whatever you've, let's call it, mistakenly done in this lifetime, you get a chance to do it again. And so it's never like you blew it forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm giving you, as I share this with my viewers, probably an A+++ for your book. And so I really want to encourage people to read it. So I know your first book is available on Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble and all those normal places. They can get it online. Your new book's not quite out yet. Will be soon. I assume they'll be able to get it at the same places.
Yeah.
But how can they reach you if before the book comes out, and if they want to reach you? I know you do speaking and so forth. How can they get in touch with you?
The best way probably would be through my website, www.cynthiamitchell.com, and they can purchase the book there. There's a area where you can purchase it, or go directly to Amazon But yes, the new book's not quite out. The second book isn't out yet, but it's ready.
Well, very good. When you think about it, already out there, and then The Day My World Stopped, coming soon. Both incredibly powerful books. Thanks for having the courage to share your story and for having the curiosity and the willingness to not give up, to explore what you've explored and to bring it back. I really do think of you as kind of a scout who's out there on the the edge of reality, discovering what's really so and bringing it back for all of us. So thanks for joining us today. I look forward to having you on again, perhaps when your new book comes out.
Thank you.
All right, thanks again. And all of you watching, please check out these books. They're really valuable. And we'll see you next week on Conversations with Authors.